Welcome back, everyone. We are on to the second match of today. We got XSIDE versus Gospel. We got the dredge set, of course, to start us off. And then, of course, we go into the blight. And if we make it to the tiebreaker, we will get the nurse. This is quite the pick that came on through. Cash is very well known for their dredge. It is very terrifying. And looking at the picks and bans, I don't know. Again, I'm not the one for the picks and bans, so maybe. Wait, oh no. Are we going to see it? No! Do we see A7 getting absolutely, I don't know about jump scared, but Cash hiding in the locker, waiting for their, just waiting for the survivor to walk on by and able to pop out of the locker, get a very fast injury onto A71, but A71 able to hold their check spot here at 5. Oh, Cash swinging away at that pallet. A71 able to make it back over and not going down. What a fantastic start to this trial. And we also just taking a quick look at our add-ons. We do have the Oda Marian writing and the Malthinker's skull. So we got that nice 25% increase when people are injured. See Thomas on their generator, a little bit of gen pressure on upper 12, and I believe A7 will more than likely be getting a reset, or it would probably be in their best interest to do so, as going into Nightfall injured is incredibly terrifying. And we also have the Zombie Butcher as well to go hand in hand with Malthinker's skull. Keep everyone injured as long as possible. Chief, what are you thinking about the dredge set? Sorry, I was looking at the picks and bans. I don't know if this is the right killer to run through or to get through the picks and bans, but I don't know. It's just an interesting pick seeing it here.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is something Gospel is very well known for, but of course, I do think that Dredge is a set that, as much as obviously Cash is exceptional on, is also going to get a very free tag onto Gestrix. He's taking a terrible tag as well, just ate a wall entirely, has to play to God 11, and hope it's there, it is. Thank the Lord for him, he's going to be able to drop it and make some safety, but it's important now, obviously, as we try to get rid of Nightfall. We need to last in this chase, at least for this next 10-ish seconds, to make sure that doesn't run out. We've run into a corner again. Gestrix just making some rookie errors right now, but does have a God window here. He's going to make the vault just in time, trying to win the send, predicting the double vault was not Cash. But that is down as Nightfall ends our first hook of the trial. All things considered, Cash was able to get Nightfall very quickly. He got his early tag onto A71 and then just sat in the locker on the most progressed gen and farmed his Nightfall. It was a very calculated decision by Cash, and of course, back at 12 he is able to apply Eruption and get pop on that gen. But A71 is sitting pretty on another gen. I believe it was bot 6. I didn't get a good enough look, and that's very highly progressed now. So Cash kind of playing a stalemate game as we are forcing survivors off gen, slowly creeping back to our Nightfall as we let Gestrix sit on this hook. We have been caught out on this check spot here, but A71, of course, doesn't have enough distance to make it back to the inside of the room. We have a pallet here, but on this pallet, you can basically guarantee a tag if you so choose. But Cash does want his tunnel. We're going to head back to Gestrix, wherever he may be. Here we are at top 10, and of course, we are in hot pursuit of whoever this may be. I do believe it is Gestrix. Yeah, the pools of blood do allude to his position. He's made it all the way to bottom 6, dropped off quite nicely. Maybe balance landing to buy on some distance, but no, instead, just a friend of Thomas to secure us an extra bit of safety. But he has left him as we ventured towards this room inside 3. A very strong pallet to play, but the hallway is our desired locations. Thomas is here yet again to make sure we can last. Play around our distance once more. The strength of Midwich in full effect, as you can just hold so much distance against the dredge when he doesn't have lockers to teleport to cut you off. And Gestrix pathing magnificently around all of these lockers. We've made it to the courtyard clock tower now, a very safe resource on the map to try and last on, as one gen does pop. That was most likely A71's gen. Now both pallets at clock tower have been dropped. Gestrix needs to play a bit safe here. We're going to make the vault in time, but Cash with his remnant can play for a guaranteed tag in this position. We're going to vault back into the killer, and unfortunately we do not win the 50 there. Gestrix on the ground yet again, but A71 and Thomas able to get a reset as Nightfall does begin. We also see a second gen of the trial pop. It is that gen down 5 that we're resetting on top of, and I know Frozen is well aware that his gen may be interrupted in just a few seconds as Cash is back on the prowl. We hear 12, the gen here, and we might opt to kick, but no. Instead, we see Frozen on the corner, get the information, and head right on back. Pop Interruption yet again applied as Gestrix is left on the hook for a second. The second stage at this point of the game is setting us up for a 4K Peaches. This is where the problems do start. Getting a tunnel out on dredge is something you play to prevent for the entirety of the match, because once it does occur, you kind of don't get to pop another gen on the side of the survivors.
Yeah, I absolutely have to agree. Anytime it goes down to 3v1, whatever amount of generators that 3v1 comes in at, that is basically, but I mean, unless you aren't have high progress gens elsewhere, that's basically all you are going to get. So we see the unhook onto Dexter's, and now our survivors will have to play protect the president here. They cannot let him die because we do have a lot of progress. We will see that, I believe we will see that 3rd gen pop, but aside from that, I don't think there's much gen pressure on the map. Frozen able to take a little, stay in the doorway a little bit, prevent Cash from being able to close the distance a little bit, although we do still have the teleport. Nightfall has ended, so Cash is limited on their teleports. Dropping toward the bombs, and we are able to cut off Gestrix from the bottom side, and they don't have any bounce landing or any perks to help them on the bottom. Very nice caught off from Cash, and we are going to see the 3v1 at 2 generators remaining, and I believe your prediction might come into play unless our survivors can have insane comms here. Although we do find the injured Frozen there, we're gonna vault over into the staircase, but we don't have this God pallet anymore. They are making their way into their room at 10. Maybe they'll beeline it over to 9, which they do, but all they have is this extremely weak pallet to play with, and they are wrapping around the lockers. They are W King, and make it to the window. They will not make it to the window, and we will see the down onto Frozen. So if Cash wanted to, we could slug and look around the generators, but we're not in Nightfall yet, so it is still good and safe to secure this stage onto Frozen, and then able to teleport around and see where the next active generators are. That pop interruption is so deadly on the dredge. We don't hear anything around some of these generators, although 12 is still pumping away. Actually, this is what I was talking about. So even though we're in the 3v1 and it can be incredibly difficult to pop anything in this state, given how strong dredge is on midwich, especially in the Nightfall, if they have high progress gens prior to the 3v1 happening, we could still see more gens pop and make that win con just that much more difficult when we swap sides here, Chief.
Yeah, what's so problematic now is this Gen 12 has obviously been popped and erupted. It's going to be left to regress as well. It might not be able to be worked for the entirety of the duration of Nightfall, because without those lockers being able to be locked, even balanced landing isn't safe in that room. It's basically, oh my god, we've managed to pop another gen. I didn't realize we had that much progress over there. I thought we were splitting 2 gens for that chase, and unfortunately, speaking of chases, Frozen isn't going to get to have one at all. Caught out entirely. There's eruption on 12. He's gonna get hooked here, most likely just right now at 2. As yeah, wow, that was a very unfortunate bit of an interaction there for our survivors. Also the position of another survivor here, I don't know who it is, but I believe it is Thomas. Yeah, caught out at 11. He's gonna make his distance down the left side of the map, but of course needs to be very, very careful. Giving up this second tag could spell problems. Austin stuck between a rock and a hard place. Does he pull? Does he sit his gen? Wherever he may be, Cash is gambling that he's pulling right now, and I think our survivors have called the bluff. They've managed to sit securely, let Nightfall end, maybe. Oh my god, never mind. Austin just under the nose of Cash has gotten the save without him even realizing. That's magnificent, but the swing through the pallet does mean Austin is now tagged. 3 injuries on the board means Nightfall is ticking up so fast, and we need to be very, very careful. Frozen could be exiting the trial. I believe he's just balanced landing into courtyard as we do spot out Thomas here, dropping to 12 himself. The pallet here does buy us some safety, but the remnant has been placed. We need to play very, very carefully. We don't get the drop on the right side. Unfortunately, Thomas does not react in time. That's his first took of the trial. Another application of pop to any gen. I do think right now, Peaches, as 12 has regressed basically to nothing, I think, at least. That's what my ears are telling me. I'm not too sure. And 2 survivors injured, Frozen Death Hook as well. We found the reset. Yeah, I do think that all the progress we might have had on 12 is going to go to waste. Frozen most likely will be exiting the trial on this pallet. There's not a lot of places we can go. We have to win some 50s and potentially make it to this window here, but I'm sure Johnny Cash will be doing his most to make sure that cannot occur. And with this remnant placed, playing 50s yet again, we unfortunately are unable to win it on the side of Frozen. 2v1 will come out, and once again, I do think that will secure a 4K1 result for the Dredge, which is on the lower side of results this season, Peaches. We've seen too many 4K3s, too many 4K3s. Yeah. So 4K1, good recovery.
Absolutely, 4K1. You see, I'm sorry. We see A71 and Thomas crouching in a line I believe they were trying to stealth out the teleports around, but Cash able to teleport into the McDonald's room and swing it out the window. A71 is able to make it through, but I think you are still correct in saying that this, I mean, unless this chase goes way longer than expected, this should just be the 4K one. I don't believe there's any more progress here on the map. I think the highest progress gen was that 1 at 12. Gonna have to win another 50, drop the pallet on the wrong side, and we do get the down onto a 7-1. Thomas, where are we at? I think they were actually working away at that 12 gender, actually, as it did stop progressing a little bit, but I think Cash might predict it as they're around the drop point. Yep, they see the scratch marks, and we will take our final chase of this trial, taking it around this dropped 1 pallet, going to the very deep part of 1, but Cash able to cut them off, get the down, and secure the 4K1. But yeah, like you're saying, this is actually a pretty darn good result for the side of Gestrix. I mean, we have seen a lot of 4K3s, 4K2s, and even in other things that we've seen a lot of, I've seen a lot of 4K4s even. So getting the 4K1, that's pretty, honestly, that's pretty darn good. I mean, it is Gospel still after all, and I'm sure the survivors of Gospel scrim Cash like no tomorrow, so they might know all the tips and tricks to facing off against the dredge set. We're on to the second trial of the dredge. The previous result, in case you missed it, was a 4K1. Gestrix will have to get a 4K2 for the win or tie it with the 4K1. But like you said, Gospel basically has to get outs here. I mean, if you're going to go for the 4K1, you basically have to go, or if you're going to go for the 4KO, you basically got to go for the outs. So we'll definitely see quite the matchup here. And we also see a couple perk changes here that is very Glass Cannon-like. We see the Undying Ruin. Of course, Undying will protect the Ruin, but that is a very strong perk in the dredge set if it is able to be kept up. But we already see Andrew working away at the Undying Totem. We also have Eruption in the background in case Ruin gets cleansed, which Undying will be cleansed right this second. That's why I was talking about with the Glass Cannon type perks. Undying out of the trial. Ruin is still in place, so we'll still see that passive regression, but not wanting to take the chase over. No, we are going to continue this chase over to Addict. They do have this window to connect to. That is a fantastic loop to go into, going from one classroom to the other with a down pallet into another classroom, holding W, having to heartbeat read just a little bit here at 2, running into the killer a little bit, but they still have the pallet here to play with. Can we get the Remnant back up and do some mind games with it? Now it is not charged yet. Now it is taking the chase around the backside of this tile. Can we get the M1? Yes, we will. And Addict will take the vault into the room here at 4, trying to maybe make it down to upper 5, but all they have is this drop pallet into the window. Once again, Gestrix trying to cut them off from the window. Wait, we went right around. Gestrix was looking at the pallet, and Addict was like, oh, okay, I will go right around your back and make it over to a stronger resource. But in that resource is the name of Cash, taking a body block for Addict to get to a stronger resource. But now we have 2 survivors injured on the board, and we do have that Malthinker's skull and the broken totem, or the broken doll. So with more injuries on the board, the faster that Nightfall grows, taking the chase around onto Cash. I don't know if they make it back to that pallet. Do they have enough distance? Not with the bloodlust. We have Cash on the floor and Addict in the room next door. Do we go for the pick and continue getting our tunnel? Yes, we do here, Chief. This is quite the explosive start already to this matchup.
Yeah, and of course I want to point out, you talked about Rune Undying and how volatile it can be and how much of a glass cannon build it is, but I had a conversation with Dan No Mercy, guys. Tick that off your bucket list. Chief casting a dredge set, it was always going to get mentioned, wasn't it? Now, and he mentioned that if you find Rune Undying, you got to cleanse it, because it is basically, you're into the 3v1, Ruin up, you don't pop a gen. It's impossible. And of course, I did suggest that for the fact of it could have occurred last match with Pop and Eruption, and I do still believe that. I think the 3v1 against Dredge, especially with some injuries on the board, is unbelievably difficult, and we are seeing Gestrix able to capitalize on his Nightfall quite effectively in the meantime, cutting off the unhook of Addict, and New getting tagged on top of him as well, putting our survivors in a bit of a precarious spot. Andrew is left to sit his gen, as nobody can really get this save before Cash goes second. Ruin is, of course, ticking away at the gens that aren't currently being worked, as New and Ags are forced to rotate. But what I do want to point out, like I was saying, is that obviously it is pretty well considered by a lot of EU teams and players that if Ruin Undying is allowed and you don't have any way to immediately find those totems like Hunch or Counterforce, what have you may, you can't just lose the game on the spot. Ruin is such a big big boon for our killer. And there you go. There's Andrew also caught out rotating. He's popped his gen, but once again, gens are still left regressing. There's 2 tags on the board. Cash is still on hook. Addict is the only man who can currently save comfortably, but Andrew's actually going to take this trade. That's another hook for him. But with 4 gens on the board, Gestrix is going to opt to slug. We can have a tunnel out very, very early on, and that is problems indeed. We're definitely going to need to try and help him. I'm sure Addict is going to come in to help us, and yeah, he's dropped. We've hit the BT, though, of Cash, and Addict is sending it away now. Johnny does have some distance towards 11, but he's tried to anticipate the cutoff here, make sure that the teleport didn't come out in time. He will make the pallet, but this is only borrowed time at this point. We have to make sure we can last. Andrew will need to be picked off the ground, and I'm sure him and New will reset. Addict needs to get back on the gen, maybe even find Ruin. Once again, Ruin in the 3v1 against this killer basically prevents you from popping a gen. It needs to go now. It needs to be out of the trial ASAP, because Johnny Cash will not be lasting much longer in this trial. Here's him having to play 50s on this pallet. We're going to break it, force him away, and of course, with Remnant back in hand, eventually, death will be certain. Johnny left with very little options, except for a friend. An Addict is here yet again to assist him. He makes it all the way to 7 now. We're heading to 6. We're going to try and drop. We take the window vault, and Gestrix is short behind us. There's a down onto Addict, another slug as Cash sends it through Courtyard. We haven't cut him off just yet, but another body is here. There's New playing to protect him, maybe actually just rotating through Courtyard for the pickup. I do believe that is his preferred choice. Finally, Johnny has made it all the way back to 2. This is a guaranteed tag pallet. Once it is dropped, there's nothing you can do against the dredge, but there you go. It's dropped now. The pickup has occurred, and yeah, there you go. There's the down, the grab. Johnny will exit the trial at 4 generators remaining, but 3 survivors on their feet. 3 survivors healthy. Ruin still in the trial. Not a lot of gen progress to be seen because of the flustering about we just had to do. I would be really worried on the side of our survivors. Nightfall has just begun. Gestrix is so mobile. He's so able to gather information, and that's not what you need. Addict caught out in a precarious position. We can teleport to a locker to cut him off completely, keep him inside of Courtyard, and this tile is relatively safe, but also pretty difficult to play because of a lot of blind spots. So Addict has actually opted to send it all the way back to 6. McDonald's, his desired location, but we've seen how poorly this can go. We see another survivor here at 7, just lurking behind that corner near the God Pallet, but Gestrix is left just at the wrong time, and as predicted, potentially a double or somebody cleansing his totem, and he goes back on the prowl. Here he is at 12, looking around, does hear this gen regressing. The reset has occurred as I believe it was New just sitting pretty around that corner at McDonald's to make sure Addict wasn't left bleeding. But yeah, there you go. They have been spotted out, rotating towards the 9 side of the map. Andrew could be anywhere at this point on a gen, but of course we need to pop 3 more in this position, and Ruin is ticking away as every survivor needs to be so patient right now, Peaches. This is a game of chess, and of course, we've lost our queen, and I think we've lost a fair few other pieces on the side of Gospel at this point.
Absolutely. And oh, getting the nice tag onto New. And look at that. The Hex is in such a hidden spot there. I think it's hidden in that upward staircase toward the upper 11. So that is probably going to be the last spot that our survivors will look. But you're absolutely right. If the Ruin is still in play. Oh no! We have this Andrew sandbagging New. I believe Andrew was trying to come in to take a hit for New to at least make it to a slightly stronger tile, but actually getting in his way, now having to play the same 50. What the heck interaction was that? Getting a tag onto Andrew out of thin air. And yeah, I think you are absolutely right. This is actually going for the pick on New. I think if Gestrix wanted to, they could have just gone for a little bit of slugging game, but of course they're not in Nightfall there, so quite yes, maybe they just wanted to preserve the hook, continue this trial going forward, and we do find the injured Andrew as well, making their way over to bottom 12, which I believe they still have this pallet they can use into the 11 room. But Gestrix winning the stare down, swings through the pallet, gets the down onto Andrew, and yeah, I think the 4K4 might as well be secured, because forcing Addict to get off their gen means Ruin will eat away at the generators. No one is on any generators anywhere on this map. Yeah, what a phenomenal result from Gestrix here. And even though the match is not done yet, I believe XSIDE will be the first team in the group stage, or at least in season 6, to make Gospel bleed.
Yeah, look, the position is still technically recoverable, but it is getting dicier and dicier. Nightfall is about to begin yet again. Addict is stuck at piano, and of course, we all know that this is a pallet you can't really escape. Even if you break it, you're getting tagged, and we're about to see the fruits of that. There's nothing you can do but get stuck here. That's, yeah, the inevitability, as 3 survivors are now injured yet again. We have the killer instinct on Addict, and now also the killer instinct on another survivor downstairs below us. That's the reset, actually. We know where everybody is off of just that bit of information alone, and right now, Addict could be on the floor in just a couple of seconds, and with that reset coming on in, somebody here new has come in for a body block, but it's not come out in time. Once again, Ruin ticking away at our gens. The more time we spend resetting, the more time we spend making sure survivors are not on the ground taking body blocks, the less time we have to work these gens. And this might be our only gen here, top 6, with any progress at all at this point, Peaches. And I would be very, very worried about that for our survivors, because at this point, I don't really see how we recover. We need somebody to have an insane chase, right? But that's just not something that happens against the dredge. It's a guaranteed tag simulator. Andrew is just sitting this gen right in the middle of the chase, and at this point, you just need a gamble like that to pay off. In fact, not just one, about 18 in a row, because there you go, Andrew caught out. He's got balanced landing, but he won't, I was going to say, won't be able to make it away in time just because of that extra bit of ping, but he does just barely, and of course, he will eventually take a tag in this interaction. There's nothing our survivors can do at this point. There's so little safe resources left on the map. This is another guaranteed tag coming on out. There's nothing a survivor can do to play around that, except for take the tag in a positive light. And Andrew's tried to do that, but unfortunately, he's having to play around sticks and stones at this point. And Gestrix knows all too well, these pallets don't need to be broken. They don't get to be chained together. There's nothing a survivor can do, as Andrew meets his fate yet again, a certainty on this pallet, and that's his second hook of the trial. Still haven't been able to pop a gen since we entered the 3v1, and once again, this goes to show that Ruin is such a detriment. Addict and New rather, are sitting this gen here at 1, and boy oh boy, this might be the last interaction of the game. Gestrix could spot them out in any moment, and of course, that would secure the result, but no. New has rotated off, trying to play for this save, as Gestrix is on the prowl yet again, trying to spot out where these survivors may be. He does hear Ruin tick away at 1, but I don't think he's heard it in time as he exits the locker all the way here at 5. Was this where the gen was? I didn't realize. I thought we were... Man, I've become a little disoriented. This game has gone on for a while. Also, God Pallet at 8 still up, I want to point out. That could have been useful for our tunnel out, but we haven't gotten to use it just yet. Andrew and New, I'm sure, will be having to get themselves off the hook and reset, as Addict does take this tag here. We get the stun on the wrong side of the God Pallet. We lose so much distance off of that. It's not going to be a very quick chase at all. The medium vault does come out, but yeah, Addict cannot make it in time, and it's going to be him left to slug. Addict, the only man. No, sorry, Andrew, having been reset. Once again, being a bit discombobulated because we've been in this 3v1 for such a long time, and yeah, I mean, look, to pull back the curtain once again, I truly do not believe the Gospel can pop a gen from this position. Even if they do, it's not enough. They need to pop 3 for a tie. 4 for a win. It's going to be really difficult.
We finally see Ruin! Ruin out of the trial. Finally, we can see some gen pressure potentially, but we do find Andrew, and this is another tunnel up. But huzzah! Finally, something that the survivors can somehow play off of. I do agree with you. I still don't see them winning this position. Oh, especially with that window block there. Yeah, this is the tunnel out at 4 gens remaining going into the 2v1. I think if again, the smallest fraction of a window with Ruin being gone, there was that is basically the only chance that these survivors had, especially with the Gospel survivors. They have clearly they have insane chemistry, although we did teleport straight into onto Attic, and we got eyes onto New as well, teleporting right onto them and seeing them go down the other hallway. But that the small chance that Gospel had was there with Ruin being cleansed, although we do have Eruption as well as our backup regression program. Of course, we have 8 kicks or 4 if we get the regression from Eruption every single time, and that is a lot of time to use up resources, a lot of time to reset, and honestly, I mean, shoot, we might even see the lobby crash at that point if we were still having some more survivors on their feet. But Newt, Addict going on a fantastic chase, making it over to the bottom side of 1, but not quite able to drop the pallet in time, get the eruption aura on the bottom 9, and you see New looking like they're running straight into the loving arms of our killer, but teleporting to the locker first, trying to make it to the bottom 12, looping around 11 and 12, taking their final lap around Midwich, and we will finally move on to the second set, Blight on Sofo Pit 1. But that is pretty insane for XSIDE, taking potentially Gospel's best, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe there is better picks, maybe I'm bold in saying this, potentially Gospel's best killer, best pick in this pool, and winning it at such a large fashion. Like 4K4 to 4K1 is insane. Taking the chase around this one side pallet on 1 and cutting them off with the remnant, and we finally see this trial come to an end and can move out of these classrooms here, Chief. But what insane matchup. Gospel does indeed bleed, and that is quite the devastating loss going into a set pick that is not your own.
100%. I mean, I don't think anybody was expecting that.
We are now finally loaded in. We see a pretty common build with the Corrupt Intervention, Wretched Fate, Pop, and Eruption. Wretched Fate instead of the turn Math Clock, still a solid pick, double bumping on the rock here, going toward the top side of the map. Let's take a quick peek at our gen spread. The corrupted gens are the 12, 11, and 1. Oh, thank you guys for taking a peek at the gen spread. I was asking for it. So that's a pretty solid 3 gen toward the top side of the map. We have this we have this 3 gen as well in the middle, separating the top from the bottom. We have the one at 4, 5, and an 8 as well. So maybe the bomb gen spread is not the one that we want to commit to. We do find New here, although making their way toward taking a hit, making their way toward the top side. Although this is the corrupted area, this could be a pretty solid gen spread for Gestrix to play with. Vaulting into the matchsticks, making their way toward the top side once again. Very nice pathing from New here, able to make it around to this pallet, and with that distance, we'll be able to make it to this main pallet. But hell W through the doorway, insane pathing, able to make it to the 11 side window of main, wrapping toward the backside to the pallet, trying to win a couple of 50s. Can Gestrix get the down? Yes, they will. And although this is technically the good death spot here for the side of the Gospel survivors, this is a pretty darn good gen spread here, at least the 3 gen, if this is something that Gestrix wants to hold here.
Yeah, look, I mean, you do point out the fact that was a pretty favorable death spot, but that was outside of our corrupted gens, and that was in our corrupt. Oh my god, Addict has taken a very ugly tag there. That was beautiful from Gestrix to be able to connect with that rush, but it does put our survivors in a precarious position. We know Gospel love the item metagame, so I would presume that Medkit does not equal Deli cash is quickly there for the reset. Yeah, it's not at all actually. It's just Medkit will make it. We want to get those quick resets. Second wind as well is a little bit of a preventative tunnel out measure, but Addict now able to be down on the bottom side of the map. Every other survivor is top. Andrew is about to pop his gen. New, our potential tunnel out has been abandoned in favor of the fact that this is a pretty good hook location for us inside of this bottom side 3 gen, which is quite nice, but we have lost it as Addict, or rather Andrew has popped 4, my word. Too many A's at this point in the game, and fortunately Andrew will take a tag here at 4. We see a Crow crossing for the unhook there, and that is Cash making it in time. That will be a free unhook, but the BT of Addict has been hit, so Cash will have to try and protect our friend here. At this point, bottom side is still ideal for us to die. The tag onto Cash also does us some favors for the mid game, but Gestrix now will follow up on his tunnel out onto Addict, so he has to play around these windows in the bottom side of mid, but he does Jiggy all the way to 4. This is a pretty good pallet to play against the Blight, so Gestrix will be getting it out the way and following up with his rushes as we zone Addict to 5 now. It's the only pallet we have nearby, and some rushes can spell our end. We do see the greed around the run, and we aren't able to force the break, so Addict will be on the floor. That's another down onto him. A third stage and a second onto Addict at 4 generators. I'm sure New does have some progress on main after he was reset. We saw him hop on it, so we should be seeing a gen, maybe even 2 if this gen at 8, like Gestrix predicts, is being worked, but no, it's only at about 50% pop, or rather 70% pop. Will be interrupting that, and Eruption can slow it down in the future, but Gestrix's gens are pretty split now, Peaches. And although we might have a tunnel out in our future, considering the fact Addict is here sitting, our savior might be nowhere to be found just yet. Cash and Andrew, most likely not playing for it, injured. They would need a 2 reset, and I think Gestrix knows he has a bit of time to deplete some resources as they get their resets done. New all the way at main can also not be there to pull just yet, so Addict will be left to sit for a bit, and Gestrix playing the patient game now.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, yeah, they have absolutely no reason to leave this, especially with all 3 generators, or sorry, all 3 gens, or sorry, oh my gosh, all the 3 gens have been broken. Top side 3 gen has been broken, bomb side 3 gen has been broken. So at this point, it is safe to say that Gestrix will try and play for the 3v1, as that would be the best case scenario. We do go for the 2-man save. We do get the unhook onto Addict here. I believe that was New able to come in for the save. Cash trying to bait Gestrix to go after them, saying, hey, I'm actually the one going for the save. Nope, it was New all along, waiting out the BT over here at Shack. If this chase comes in way too fast and going into the 3v1 at 3 generators, this could be problems for Gospel. We see Cash taking a body for Addict and might potentially taking another one, actually. Oh, barely missing the M1. Maybe we want to get Cash done and out of the way. We are sick of you. We do not want you taking any more body blocks for Addict. Get out of the way, and taking the chase back onto Addict around the backside of Shack, able to make it over to 5, but we get the pallet stun instead, breaking the pallet as well as we were out of rushes and losing some of those tokens. And I think all we have left is this pallet here at 5, unless this was dropped earlier. No, it was dropped earlier. It has not been broken quite yet. Cash is picked up. There's got to be someone coming in to help out Addict. We slow vault over the pallet and we get that down and the pallet break. This will be Addict leaving the trial at 2 generators remaining, but that gen spread is very 1 generator remaining. That gen spread is very favorable for the survivors, even going to 3v1, although everyone is injured. So XSIDE is still in a snowballable position, but Gospel is looking pretty darn solid right now.
Yeah, look, obviously the gen spread is pretty favorable. If you entered the 3v1 at this point with everyone healthy, I would argue the Gospel would be in the premier position right now to play for a pretty typical 7-stage game on the Blight, but with 3 survivors injured, Gestrix can capitalize very, very easily on just a single mistake. Cash is having to play for his life here and needs to be so careful to swing through the pallet, gets him on the ground, and New and Andrew might be left wondering. Gestrix getting eruption on this gen just in case, but I'm sure someone is sitting this gen here all the way at 1. Gestrix is just as certain as I am, so the slug comes on out. It might have even been a double because it's popped in our face, and unfortunately that kick onto 8 just not getting us there in time. Here's Andrew now in chase, and we do spot out the rotation of New. We're going to go try and cut him off from the bottom side. I think both of our gates are fairly, yeah, one's at 10 actually, so not towards the bottom, but still definitely not in our direction for Andrew, and this could result in a slugfest from this point on, Peaches. We do see both of our survivors here. Andrew rotating just too quickly. That's him on the ground. Can we get a quick flick around to see if Andrew is unbreak just in case? Because I need to make sure. No, he's not. He's plot twisting. He didn't get it off in time. Unbreak is on Cash. He's our Delhi Unbreak survivor. He's probably used it as well, considering the fact he didn't pick himself up just yet. But that does mean New is the last man standing. Gestrix playing for a 4K0 here is definitely an incredible result. And yeah, that's going to be him on the ground. Wow. Cash doesn't have this unbreak. That is a tried and true 4K0 secured by Gestrix. Incredible result on the Blight.
Very nice recovery from Gestrix. What was looking like to be like you were predicting a lot of outs potentially, especially with how this game was unraveling, able to hold the 4K0. So now the survivors, I mean, it's still a pretty, I don't know if difficult is the right word to use. It is the killer of Gospel, so I will say difficult. Getting outs against them will not be an easy task, but saying all you need to do is pop all the gens to get 1 stage out the gate, that's not as bad as going for oh shoot, we have outs already, we need to get even more stages out of the door. Like how many stages would you predict for the Blight? I don't know about these 2 teams. I expected the 4K1, 4K0 given the caliber of these 2 teams. What were you expecting for like a mid to high stage against the Blight?
Well, look, Peaches, obviously we have our stats sheet for OSL that we put together at the start of the season, and I believe Blight was expected to be around the 9-stage mark, 9-3, 9-4, any capacity, 9 stages, just to, try and see outs, especially with the recent changes to Blight, the general strength, the suffocation pit. It's a pretty outable set nowadays, especially that the survivors have such strong perks. So a 4K0 is definitely above that. But right on the average, actually, the tournament average for Blight is a 4K0. So Gestrix performing right to the level that we have seen.
What build as well we will see, as we did see Wretched Fate get cleansed extremely early on. I wasn't able to point out as the chases were going very fast, and we saw a lot of action there, so I wasn't able to point that out earlier. But that Wretched Fate did get cleansed extremely early on, and nope, we see the exact same build as before. Wretched Fate, pop, eruption, call of Brian. We are loading in. We are ready to rumble. We got the 11, 10, and 2 generous spread toward the top side. Not the best 3-gen, but it is a 3-gen nonetheless that can be worked on, which means that the bottom side might be the preferred gen spread to go for. Attic, if you could please look down there. Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate you. We have 5, 6, 5, a little bit in front of Shack 6 and 7. This might be the better gen spread to commit to. I think we also have 9, if I am not mistaken. Finding our first survivor in the form of A71, working down toward the 5 generator, trying to work away at that, but results in an injury, dropping into the pallet immediately and making their way back over to 5. Maybe they'll make their way toward 4 and up to the corrupted area, playing around this downed pallet, and immediately we're gonna see a very fast down onto A71 from Addict, and then seeing them clean up some of these pallets. So at least looking at the HUD here, I don't think the survivors are ready for this down to come in this fast here, Chief.
No, definitely not, but they do have Gestrix there. Their lead player set up quite nicely behind Shack. The only thing that could go very wrong here is if Addict does spot him out. He's checking towards 8 edge, expecting the rotation to have been that bit slower, but Gestrix right in the money with a quick rotation towards the bottom side. A71 unfortunately caught out in a pretty lackluster spot at 5. Kind of got stuck with the way he took his tag at the edge map. Definitely not the most ideal tag to take, especially considering it was off of the back of 5 rushes. If he was able to get that tag towards the top side, even if he made it to 3 and needed some help getting deeper into the map, things could have been ideal, but our survivors now are having to adapt to what we've seen. Gestrix is able to get the pull for free for a bunch of rushes. We're going to hit the BT though, so Austin will need some help making it to the top side, as Gestrix will have to do his best, unable to catch the Blight this time, but Austin doesn't make it anywhere. He might be our DS survivor though. We're going to have to find out. He is our obsession. We're going to see. Yeah, he is in fact, and that does give him some safety. That's DS and Dead Hard as well. He has a jungle gym, which is a relatively safe tile to play around. Dead Hard might not get baited out just yet. He has used it there, but he's still guaranteed his safety off of that 5 rush cycle and can make it all the way topside. 2 gens will also pop here, so Frozen and Thomas have done their part as Austin escapes the bottom side. Things have turned out dandy off of the back of that 5 rush cycle. Addict barely swinging through the pallet. Austin moves out of the way just in time and can greed towards main. Survivors now are rotating to the bottom side to get back on those gens. We do see Gestrix already getting a gen to about 25%. Austin has managed to avoid a few rushes here. We crouched in the corner. We've not been able to avoid the 5th. That was beautiful. Once again, just working around nothing. He's played exceptionally well there. And now, of course, Thomas, our FTP survivor, is like clockwork, already here for it to make sure A71 will not be exiting the trial preemptively. But 2 survivors on the bottom side, an inverse of what we've just seen for the first chase and the second. We're going to see 2 survivors splitting on the bottom and trying to disrupt this 4-gen, finally. But Addict might need to be careful here. The pull, oh my word, Frozen has flared Addict and managed to escape with no tag there, but unfortunately no pallet to be seen. We're going to take a tag towards the top side, and A71 has been unhooked and FTP'd. Gestrix is still sitting pretty on one of these gens, and Addict has recognized we aren't going to be able to get this tunnel out quite easily, and our 4-gen on the bottom side might be more important than anything else at this point, so we need to interrupt these gens. Gestrix has been spotted with our 5th rush, but the kick is oh so important. There's pop and eruption on this gen, and Gestrix gets to run away scot-free. The position has been reset for our survivors so far. We still have to disrupt this 4-gen, but it's going to be pretty troublesome to do so if we do enter that 3v1. Austin, A71 needs to play unbelievably careful from this point moving forward, Peaches.
Yeah, if they got caught out, that could definitely spell disaster for XSIDE. So more than likely, they will be working away at one of those top side generators as it is away from that 4-gen. Thomas going for the plot twist, procting the eruption down there at 7, taking the tag onto Frozen, trying to make their way over to 3, maybe toward the top side of the map, as that would be the preferred death spot location. But Frozen, not check spotting quite correctly at this tile at 3, runs into the arms of Addict and goes down. And we will hook over into our 4gen here. This is what you're talking about. This is where it gets really dangerous. Even though we lost our tunnel out, we're hooking in this 4gen here, and we are able to also just sit right here on top of this hill if we really want to. Of course, we are the Blights. Why would we want to sit here when we can just rush around the map? But that is an option, just like we saw in the Spirit match in Kaido Kids versus Peony Dynasty. So we could really just sit around here and be happy, because we're not going to care about that main generator. More than likely, that was a 7-1 popping that generator, as they are the death hook. They want to stay away from the port. And we do see the free unhook onto Frozen. We try to wait out the BT just a little bit, but no, we will just be happy with taking the tag onto them. They're going to run all the way toward the top side, probably get reset by a 7-1 and leave Gestrix and Thomas to try and break up this 4gen. But that 3gen, even I know this is a 4gen bottom, but even that 3gen right there around the hill is pretty darn disgusting there. But we will get the tag onto Gestrix. There's no more resources around here. We did use quite a lot of rushes, so maybe we will be able to make it over to 3, or at least make it to the corner and make it difficult for Addict to pull them toward the bottom side. But Gestrix holding W, trying to make it up to 2, but I don't think they're going to make it much further. Bloodlusts, and we'll go down. This will be the 4th stage on the board here, and will try their best to pull toward the bottom side. No, they're actually going to hook on the 2. Actually, I don't think there were too many hooks that Addicts could have chosen around the bottom side. Maybe one closer to the center, maybe something like they do, but maybe they don't want to waste too much time. Just throw them on the hook, get down to the bottom side at ASAP, because if this one at 7 pops, it does have a good amount of progress. That 4gen will be broken up quite a bit, and the 3gen that is remaining is definitely something that these survivors can break here, Chief.
Yeah, I want to point out that Gestrix was our Deliverance survivor, and he actually hasn't opted to unhook himself. He's been unhooked by our friends, that way he isn't going to be broken for an entire minute. That allows him to get reset. A lovely crouch by A71, by the way, to avoid that tag, but unfortunately, not enough distance to make it towards this pallet. That is the M1 coming out, but it does get us towards main, and Addict has to head on back. He's a bit fearful, rather, of the gens on the bottom side. Doesn't want 7 to be popping, or 8, because a lot of these gens do have a decent progress now. And yeah, what I wanted to highlight was that Gestrix didn't opt to use his Deliverance. He wanted to get reset as soon as possible, because you cannot do anything on the top side of the map except for sit pretty and wait. And if he had to wait a whole minute for his broken status, it would have just slowed down the game entirely. And right now, our survivors can't really afford that. Thomas needs to play careful, but here's him caught out at 10. The swing through the pallet connects just in time. Ooh. Unfortunate for him. That's the ping. We do have cross ping in this matchup. Obviously, Southeast Asia to Australia. Addict from OCE and our survivors from Thailand do have that fair bit of ping, about 120 to 140 between them. And of course, it's why you see hits like that. Thomas unable to escape the down, but Consolidation at least hooked on the top side, able to be saved freely. And now we're just trying to stall yet again, I think, on the side of the Survivors Peaches. We are having these gens get regressed with pop and eruption every couple of seconds, every single time Addict gets a down, and that is, of course, troublesome, but the more and more he does kick these gens, the less and less regressions they have left, and we are running out on 7. We probably only have about 2 left, and I know 5 and 8 will be nearing that mark as well, so Addict does need to be quite careful, all things considered. We're going to probably get one of our final kicks on this gen. And that, actually, I have no idea, because I just didn't get anything on my side. Okay, yeah, they have eruption, but I can't, I didn't get any spikes. I have no idea how many regressions that has left at all Peaches. Maybe you can let us in on that, but yeah, I'm sure some of these gens are getting mighty close to running out, and once they do, it's an inevitability for them to pop, and our survivors will be playing for that.
I believe you are correct about that 7 generator. I think they will. Thomas rolled straight into the arms of Addict. Thank you very much for handing over that injury. We could turn this into a 2-tap, but Thomas playing around the rocket as best as possible, bouncing back and forth, and not quite able to avoid Addict. We do get that eruption proc, but what I was about to say was, I believe, no, wait, oh my gosh, I was about to say okay, sorry, that kind of just scrambled my brain a little bit. Get the hook onto Thomas. But anyway, sorry, if that save came in, that would have been probably the end of this matchup. But that eruption on 7 was the last regression there. With the kick, we saw, I didn't see the spikes come up, but I didn't see like too much. Like, all I saw was the aura of the eruption, and that was basically going to be the last piece of regression. So yeah, it was basically over for that gen right here. This gen at 5 still has quite a bit of regression that can be applied to it. Maybe I think it has like 2 kicks to it, not including the pop and eruption. We get a tag onto our survivors here, but can't commit to them quite yet. We have to go back to 5. 5 has so much progress, but this is the 3 gen that I was talking about, that I was extremely worried about. As soon as that 7 gen was done and dusted and out of the way, with 4 survivors still standing, and with this wide of a 3 gen, I mean, especially the one at 8, if someone gets found out there, they can just make their way to the top side. If someone gets found at 5, they don't really have any resources around 4 and 3, so they would just need to hold W or at least have a body to help them out. But now that 7's done, yeah, this is going to be pretty difficult. Although we do have a potential tunnel out here. This is A71 taking the injury, and they're trying to make their way up to 10, which they do successfully make it to, but I don't think there's any other resources we can use. So we are going to take, we tried baiting the dead hard, and we were able to successfully and get the down onto A71. Actually, is to take this opportunity to turn this to the 3v1. We did see the Russian procced onto 5, so maybe Addict will have enough time to make it toward the bottom side, but you see the auras of the survivors working on that generator. Oh my gosh, it was doubled out. All we need is 1 stage out the door. This is the tie condition right here, right now. Addict needs to basically slug everyone or hook everyone at this point in the game. No one can leave the trial, and we do find Frozen here, injured, running toward the edge map of 5, the corner of 5. This might spill the end, and they're forcing the locker. And we see the gates open here, Chief. We see the gates open. Gospel taking their first loss this whole entire season.